Suppose for just a second, you'd never thought about preparing for anything in your life. And you wake up this morning and you think to yourself, holy shit, Batman, I need to prepare. How do you decide where to start? Food, water, communications, medical supplies? It all depends on where you are and what you're preparing for. Let me put it this way. If you live somewhere in the vast metropolis of Los Angeles and you're preparing for, say, wildfire or some kind of economic collapse, societal breakdown, and you think, man, I may have to get the hell out of here. That's called bugging out. And you'll have to prepare things that you're going to need, things that you're going to be able to take with you. Now, if on the other hand, you live in the Great White North and your winters are full of snow and cold, you know going into this that every year your biggest concern is keeping warm, staying alive. Heat, fire, or electricity, something to keep the heater on, and you're going to also need enough food to get you through the winter on those cold days, weeks, or in some cases months where you can't really leave the house. Now, unless you're Ted Kaczynski, the one thing we're all going to need is some way to get in touch with the outside world. You're stuck in your house for days or weeks at a time. You want to make sure you've got a good source of communication. And if the power grid goes down for any length of time, or there's some kind of disruption of services, this thing is worthless. That's also true in the case of bugging out of LA. Anyway, let's talk about it this time on K6UDA Radio. Let's do this. So I got a bone to pick with members of the American LARPer Society, and for that matter, a few of the operators too. Where comms comes in on the rung of things you do for preparedness. Now, admittedly, if you're an actual operator, this is a very important tool. But how much more important is it than this tool? So where do you make the list? How do you come up with this list of things that you're supposed to get for whatever mission you've set in your mind? Ready-made meals, my favorite, lasagna with meat sauce. Staple items that have 10 to 25 year shelf lives. True emergency food. Water, the fruit of life. And emergency drinking water. All packaged up and ready to go. Swoopy hot new guns. Plate carriers, big magazines, custom everything. The latest and greatest in night vision and cool hearing protection. Basic comms. Even more basic comms that doesn't even need a license. More advanced comms maybe need a license, but it gives you a whole lot more in the options arena. Now, yeah, I've got some cool toys. That's true. But that's the result of me being in the law enforcement business for 28 years. That's an accumulation over years and years of tools that I used on a daily basis. But what about my life now? Now, I'm a retired guy. Yes, I shoot a lot. I still use this a lot. I carry this every day. But as cool as this thing is, I don't use it every day. And now, most of the stuff I do with it is gazing at stars. But now, you want to know what tool I do use every day? And I used it as a cop? Radio and the phone. Communications. I use this every day now, and I use this every day now. Right now, times are good. Everybody's got one of these in their pocket. They're a computer. They're great for when times are good. But there's those times where there's no service Either you're out in the middle of nowhere, no service, power goes out for days, no service, or as some of us are preparing for, infrastructure like that goes down. Now, there's a lot of you guys, and I'm kind of specifically talking to the operator types who gear themselves up, post a lot of pictures on Instagram, and this is what you call your comms. Shame. 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 You think nothing of spending $1,000 to $1,500 on this. Spending $5,000 to $10,000 on a setup like this. Yet when it comes to the tool that you're going to use 15, 20 times a day if shit hits the fan, you're buying a $20 radio and you think that that's good. Yeah, I get it. For $20, it's a good radio. It works. And you could buy 10 of them in a pack. Pass them out to your friends. I get it. But let's get real, guys. Most of you couldn't program this thing by hand if your life depended on it. If Glover himself put a gun to your head, you couldn't program this damn thing on your own. And that's because you don't practice with it. You don't make this part of your everyday education, your everyday practice, even if you're a serious prepper. And for those of you that do, hats off to you. You're one of the few. So now, what exactly are we preparing for with the comms, and how do I see it working? What I do see is a lot of use of things like FRS and GMRS radios like this. These, my friends, are fantastic little radios to pass out to your kids, to your family, to your wife or husband, whoever the case may be. Family and friends right in your neighborhood. My wife and I use these on a daily basis. We take them out into the field. I could be working. She can call me on the radio, tell me lunch is ready, tell me a pipe broke in my shop, whatever. Now, because I live in a small neighborhood and we're all fairly tight, we've kind of got an understanding that we're going to help each other out when things happen, when bad shit happens. And to aid in that, especially when things like, cell phone network goes down, I can pass these out or tell the neighbors, go buy a blister pack of GMRS radios, handhelds, and if something bad happens, everybody's got a radio. Everybody can stay in communications. We could do tactical communications around the area for our own protection, for guarding, for medical issues, for all of the daily things that we might need to do. Now, a lot of you guys are thinking about getting your ham license, or you've got your ham license and you're not really using it, but these are a great way to get out. With the repeater, you could get all the way across town. They're limited in the fact that, number one, they're very hard to program if you're not very familiar with it. They have a very limited amount of things that you can do with them. And number three, they don't put out the cleanest signal in the world. I know in the grand scheme of things doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. But if you're trying to hide your signal, if it splatters, if it's all over the spectrum in a wide space, that's a bad thing. That gives your position away to anybody who may be listening to adjacent frequencies. Getting a better radio, whether it's a D-Star radio like this or a Fusion radio like this, these have such a distinct advantage. So one of the distinct advantages of running digital, you can have this radio here and this radio here, both on the same frequency. I can talk to this radio here just fine. I can talk on this radio just fine. They both hear each other. And by simply pressing a button, I can talk on this, and this doesn't receive any information. I can also pull very cool tools up, like this, a spectrum display. So if I key this radio up on the same frequency or an adjacent frequency, you can hear it and you could see it exactly where it is. The more we scale up, the more the worse things get, the more you're going to need some kind of communications. And sometimes it may be this little guy for around the property, in the neighborhood, between neighbors and family. And sometimes it needs to be this guy where you can reach out and you could touch someone, maybe, just maybe, with the right tools like a fusion repeater. I could reach out and touch friends that live 500 miles away, 1,000 miles away, all the way across the Atlantic into England. I've talked to guys on this radio. Yeah, sure, if shit hits the fan, this still works locally, my friends. It still works point to point. It'll still work with my repeater, which will get it out a whole lot farther than what this can do on its own. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you don't go buy one of these. Sure, go buy 1, 2, 10. Hand them out to your friends in case of an emergency. But just know that these are limited in scope. There may come a day where your life depends on your comms. And do you trust your life to a $20 radio? Gun guys, do you trust your life to the 380 Bodyguard? No. You trust your life to a good quality firearm. So if you're prepping for life, guys, invest in good equipment. At least one. If nothing else, you're going to have good equipment that you can learn, that you can grow with, that you can do some actual LARPing with. Guys, that's all I got for you today. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button, do that. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, all that good stuff. Please consider checking me out on Patreon, or I think I'm trying to launch a membership thing here. Remember, I don't get ads. I'm supported by you. If you enjoyed this, again, thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't already seen or heard or been on with me Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. For the Southern Idaho Preparedness Net live from the Southern Idaho Command, I invite you to do that. We have a good time. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Great subjects, great people, a place to build a community, to exchange information. Judgment-free, my friends. Hope to see you there. Anyway, that's it. I'm Bob, K6UDA, and I'm out of here. 7-3.